Howdy, folks. I'm Radical Rose, righteously rallying rational rebels.
I'm Am Bear.
And here are more rational rebels like bears for us to rally. Can you believe it? Rawr. But you should be careful, bear, because I'm a rose and I have thorns. Let's get started. Stab.
And we'll talk about why I'm a bear during tea time.
Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Allowing My Daughter to Dress Skimpy Against Her Father's Wishes? I'm a 44-year-old female, and my ex, a 47-year-old male, Andrew, separated when our daughter, Cassidy, a 15-year-old female, was 6. We were not married, and the separation was friendly. She lives with me since he works more than I do, so I'm able to provide her a more stable home life. But I'm not by any means trying to keep Cassidy away from her father, and have even suggested that he try to find another job that requires him to work less, which he refused. Since she mainly lives with me, I'm the one who buys her most of her clothes. Most of her life, she has not been really interested in clothes or fashion. In fact, she hated clothes, shopping, and thought that it was boring. I had to practically drag her to the store to buy some new clothes when she started to outgrow her old clothes. But this has changed since she has gotten into high school. Recently, she has been wanting to dress a bit skimpy. I guess you could say that, but boy shorts and skin-tight leggings, short skirts, crop tops, tank tops, denim shorts, and things that barely cover her butt, etc. She has also started to get into makeup. I admit that I was a bit hesitant to allow my daughter to dress like this, but she has insisted that this is how all the girls at school dress, and I decided that it wasn't worth the argument. We are both aware that her father would not approve of her dressing like this, so when she goes over to his place, she changes into a more conservative type of clothing. Well, a couple weeks ago, she called him to ask him to pick her up from hanging out with a couple of friends since I was busy and I could not make it in time. He agreed, and when he picked her up, he saw that she was wearing a crop top and some denim shorts. He didn't say anything at the time, but a day after Cassidy had left to go hang out with a friend, he showed up at my house and asked why I was allowing our daughter to dress like that. I responded by saying that Cassidy was going to be an adult in a couple of years anyways, and that you've got to learn to pick and choose your battles. Despite my answer, I could tell that he was still upset. He then asked, and I quote, if I wanted our daughter to be dressing so promiscuously. He also said that I was putting our daughter in danger by allowing her to dress like that since I was making her a target for harassment. I told him to get out, which he did. After cooling off a bit, I called him and I told him that I would not tell our daughter what he said or prevent her from visiting him, but I expected him not to shame our daughter for her choice in dress, which he agreed to, although I could tell that he was still upset. I was talking about this to my mom. She likes Andrew and has told me that even though it's years later, that she still hopes that we would get back together. She said that Andrew was out of line with what he said and had a point that Cassidy was still too young to be dressing like that. So am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. And the first line I want to call attention to is where he talks about allowing her to dress like that will make her a target for harassment. People who prey on children will prey on them whatever they're wearing. It does not make them a target for harassment. And we need to be shaming the guilty and not victim blaming.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what it really boils down to is a lot of times people will be like, "Oh, well, blame women for what they dress and how they dress," right? When in reality, who we should be blaming are the people who are doing these heinous things, right?
Right.
And that's really what's important here. And we need to make sure that who people know that it's unacceptable to harass people just because of how they're dressed, right?
Right, and it's not even the statistical reality because a lot of people like to parrot this line of, oh, well, you're setting her up to be harassed. But people are harassed in all kinds of clothes. Like, it's
Yeah.
not limited to people who dress a certain way. And no one should, like, live in fear of wearing what they like.
Yeah, well, and another thing is that most assaults, sexual assaults, happen from family members, right? And that's the reality of the situation. It isn't the people being assaulted in the dark alleys and whatnot as it's painted.
Right,
It's family members, it's members of close communities and
right. It's
whatnot.
generally someone you know and trust.
And that's really where it boils down to. And, it just adds another layer of excuse onto, like, how to blame somebody for someone else's actions. And I think that it's unfortunate that that is the way that things are viewed. As for Cassidy, She's a young woman. She's going to choose how she wants to dress, and even if OP tries to limit how she dresses, she's going to find some way to dress the way she wants to, right? She's going to either pack extra clothes to go to school, or she's going to, hide these things. And all that's going to happen is you're going to really push her into not being able to come forward and talk to the parents when there's an actual problem, right?
Hmm. Yeah, well, that's the thing is like, while there are situations where, you do need to set reasonable boundaries, outfits like this, Cassie's absolutely right that, it's pretty typical teen fashion. It doesn't sound like there's anything outrageous going on. And you want to make sure that she can open up to you and trust you if something does go wrong and not be like, oh my goodness, I'm wearing a crop top. I can't call my parents.
Yeah. And I mean, certainly, like, there's going to be there could be a discussion with Cassidy and talking about certain things and whether she, is comfortable wearing them or not. But at the end of the day, like, there needs to be some way to approach things in a way that isn't going to alienate her daughter and isn't going to make her feel like she is to blame if something were to happen to her. So, but let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Going Against My Husband? And Amber wants to read this one. Amber wants to read it.
I'm a 35-year-old female, and I've been married to my husband, a 36-year-old male, for 5 years now. And we've always had differences in how we view modesty. My husband is extremely conservative and has a strict belief about what my daughter, a 13-year-old female, cannot wear. He doesn't allow her to wear clothes that show her shoulders or anything that he deems too revealing. This has extended to the point where he doesn't even let her visit her friends because he doesn't trust them. Recently, this has started to take a toll on her emotionally and socially. She has begun to feel isolated and resentful towards everyone around me, including my husband. Last week, I finally had enough. I let her go out to visit friends for a few hours and let her wear what she feels comfortable in. Now he's giving me the silent treatment, and I'm not sure how to proceed. So Reddit, am I the jerk? Edit, no, I didn't know he was like this from the start before we got married. My daughter was about 8, and they got along pretty well, and he was a nice guy. He just turned like this over time. And it has been about 6 months now, a few days after her 13th birthday. I'm trying all I can to prevent my daughter from this.
All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, no, I don't think Opie's in the wrong here, and I feel really bad for her that she's been put in this awful situation. There's nothing wrong with wanting to let her daughter wear clothes that she's comfortable in and visit friends. Like, this isolation is not okay at all.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't think OP's doing anything wrong, and I hope she's able to find some way to resolve this where she and her daughter are able to be happy and healthy.
I have a really hard time with the whole situation where what the dad is doing here.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like him isolating his daughter isn't going to teach her the life skills and the socialization that she needs in order to be a successful person in life. Kids growing up is a part of life. They're going to be an adult soon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's really important to give kids the freedom that they need in order to express themselves. I'm not saying that you can't punish kids. I'm not saying that you can't, have lead and guide children and help them choose a good path in life. But isolating them and treating them like this isn't going to give them the skills that they need to be successful adults.
Well, that's the thing is like kids are going to be adults whether you like it or not, and at that point in time they're going to be able to make decisions all on their own, and if they've never had help or guidance, then they may not be able to make the best decisions.
Yeah, well, and a lot of times some people will go on to like the opposite end of things and make terrible decisions, and they'll kind of lead out of control lives where they kind of are now doing all the things that they couldn't do when they were a kid. And
right, and they can't necessarily judge what like is healthy and what isn't because it's just all like
yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Force My Daughter to Bring Her Sister Places and Cover Up Because of Her Sister's Anxiety? I am a 50-year-old male, and I have 3 beautiful daughters, Rose, a 17-year-old, Lily, a 13-year-old, and Daisy, a 9-year-old. When Rose was 5, a drunk driver hit a lamppost and spun into our yard, nearly killing her. She was rushed to the hospital with several broken bones and long, deep cuts. The broken bones have healed, but she was left with many large, noticeable scars on her chest, stomach, and back. After years of trauma counseling, she is now a happy, healthy teen. She has also a driver's license and a car of her own, which she uses often to take her sisters on fun day trips during the summer. This wouldn't be possible for my younger kids without Rose because both my wife and I work all day. One of their favorite places to go is the beach, which is where they were planning to go today. However, last night, Rose was putting together her stuff, including a bathing suit. I heard this conversation coming from Rose's room. Lily came into her room, saw the suit, and asked Rose if that was what she was going to wear. When Rose said yes, Lily asked if she was going to wear a t-shirt or cover it up. Rose said no. Lily started getting upset, saying that she hated it when people stared at them at the beach. A fight broke out, with Lily stating that her anxiety, which was diagnosed by a doctor, makes it really hard for her to have a good time, and Rose yelling that it didn't matter anymore because she was no longer invited. I tried to talk to both girls, but neither of them were in the mood, so I just let them be. This morning, Lily asked if she really wasn't invited anymore, and Rose simply packed up her and Daisy's stuff and began to leave. Lily asked me if I was just going to let them just leave her like that. I told her that it wasn't my decision, and what she said really hurt her sister. Lily started to shout at me that I couldn't just let them leave. I told her again that it wasn't my choice, and Rose and Daisy drove away. Lily cried by the door for a while, then sat around the house looking sad all day. When Rose and Daisy returned, Lily wouldn't look at them or speak at them. When dinner time came around, she decided to eat in her room because no one cares about her feelings. I went to go talk to her after, and she said that she was mad that no one understood her point of view and seemed not to care about her feelings or anxiety. I said that wasn't true, but I couldn't tell Rose to cover up her body because of a few stares. She screamed that I don't understand what it's like to live with anxiety and told me to get out. Rose told me that she wouldn't cover up if I asked her, which I didn't, because she deserved to live and be herself. However, Lily is still upset that I don't know what anxiety is like. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. I think OP actually handled this really well. And this is coming from someone with anxiety. I understand that it's a very uncomfortable feeling, but you can't control other people's lives to kind of mitigate your anxiety. Rose needs to be able to wear what she's comfortable in and not hide herself to shield her sister from anxiety. Maybe Lily needs some counseling for her anxiety to work through these issues. But if she can't handle being at the beach when her sister's wearing a bikini, then the solution is for her not to go with her sister when her sister's wearing a bikini.
Yeah, the thing is that while Lily does have anxiety and it is something that she has to work with, and that doesn't mean that she can impose those restrictions on other people because of how she feels. And that's the important distinction here, right? Just because Lily feels anxious doesn't mean that everyone else has to live with the restrictions that she puts on them because of her anxiety. And I think that's really what this boils down to, is has unreasonable expectations for what other people's responsibility are for her anxiety. Now, it would be different if Lily was, if Rose, for instance, was going out of her way to ensure her anxiety and to put her into situations where she was feeling anxious, right?
Right, but she's just trying to live her life and be comfortable in her own skin, and she shouldn't lose that comfort because of her sister. She shouldn't, it sounds like she's been through a lot of therapy to get over insecurities. And the last thing that should happen is for her to rebuild those old insecurities.
Think about her anxiety. I'm sure she had anxiety as well when it came to her body scars and whatnot, because it can be easy to feel self-conscious and whatnot over those kinds of things. And it seems like she's out there being bold and living her best life, which I think is really great. That's extremely healthy. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk? I am a 30-year-old male for lying to my girlfriend, a 29-year-old female, so that I could give her plus-size clothes. Hey Reddit, I'm not usually big on posting, but I have a dilemma, so I thought that I would give it a go. My partner is overweight, 115 kilograms, but she's not really super unhealthy. She's active and doesn't seem to have too many physical issues regarding her weight, and to my understanding, she takes a medication that made her gain a lot of weight just by being on it, and due to other things, has never really been able to get it back down. I think that she's stunning, and I'm not saying that her weight is an issue. The problem is that I am a beanpole. Her size is 18 to 22 Australian, depending on the brand, and I'm more boring and I'm just small. My partner loves those really cheesy, cutesy tropes, and I know she's always been sort of sad that she could never really indulge in the person wears their partner's clothes. Obviously, it isn't that huge of an issue, but I got an idea one day. She never really made a big deal out of that, but I just know how much she loves those dating JRPGs and fanfics. I bought a ton of graphic tees and a few hoodies in 2X to 3X sizes, and I put them through the wash, and I crumpled them up, and I put a few holes in one, and then I packed them up in a box, and I threw them in the back of my wardrobe. Then I asked her if she would help me finally sort out some old junk. When she found the box, I told her that I went through a style phase of wearing oversized clothes before I had to start dressing professionally for my career. Reddit, let me tell you that she tried to play it cool, but she lit up like a Christmas tree. And every time I see her wearing one of those t-shirts, she's so unbelievably happy. It's adorable. I was talking to my work colleague about it, and his girlfriend blew up at me for lying to her. And she said orchestrating this was creepy and sick. I truly don't believe what I did was wrong, and I believe what I did was a harmless thing to bring her joy. However, I am fully aware that a lot of people who do mess up things fully believe that they are in the right, and that they did nothing wrong, and that this is a slippery slope to being that guy. So Reddit, am I the jerk? Alright folks, what do you think?
I mean, I don't think Opie's a jerk here. Like, yeah, there is an element of deception involved, but it's done, like, to try and make his partner happy.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest concern here is what happens if she finds out.
Right. And I think you do have to be concerned about that. Like, does Opie have, like, a social media feed from that time period or, like, family photo albums or something?
And so I think that it depends on whether she'll, if when she finds out, because this may be one of those situations where it's not a matter of if, but maybe when she finds out, will she be upset? Or maybe she'll just go along believing it without question, because sometimes people want to believe things and not question them, right? So if this is one of those things where she's going to be absolutely crushed and devastated to find out that OP, lied to her, then maybe you would be doing more harm than good.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point, is, think about what the consequences would be if she does find out this was all orchestrated. Because some people might be really crushed, some people might be really touched that their partner went out of their way, and they'd still be hurt that, like, this, what they thought was reality wasn't reality, but at the same time, like, that's kind of sweet.
Yeah. So it's a difficult situation. I think that OP has really good intentions here and is a very sweet individual, and they want to do what's best for their girlfriend. So I don't think that this would hopefully cause too much of an issue if she does find out about it. Maybe she hopefully will look at it as this was really sweet of him to do. He loves me this much that he wanted me to have this little thing that is for happiness, right? And there's nothing to stop OP from putting them on and wearing them every once in a while too, right? Maybe OP can wear them and then kind of have that projection of, oh, I have worn these clothes, or do wear them every once in a while, or something to that effect, just to kind of make that aspect of them somewhat true. But I don't know. Let me know what you folks think though. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
A prediction, and I think this is maybe the most relatable prediction yet. Even though you coat yourself with insect repellent, mosquitoes will ignore everyone else in the state and demonstrate a strange attraction to you.
I mean, that is true. Mosquitoes are an awful lot like that. They will attack you for no reason other than they're just jerks. And I have Mega Mint. Oh, and folks, Amber wants to talk about her bareness today.
Yes, so I have recently had a story accepted into Grizzly, a charity anthology. And so it's to raise money for Take Back the Night. All the proceeds go to them. If you're not familiar with Take Back the Night, they're an organization to help sexual assault survivors. They do a lot of events on college campuses, so you may have gone to a Take Back the Night march before. And I'll give you I'll read the Goodreads blurb from the book just in case you're curious. Boys will be boys, bears will be bears. Brace yourself for 20 mixed genre tales, all tied together with a neat bear-shaped bow that your mother would be proud of, guaranteed to make you, quote, smile more often and rage like it's, quote, that time of the month. Written by Femi essay survivors for all essay survivors, Grizzly is the charity anthology that aims to give back and bite back. Sometimes when you can't find the strength to roar, a growl will do. So, yeah, I'm super excited for this one, and I'm really excited to be raising money for such a good cause. And there's stories like, I know there's a lot of horror writers involved in this, but there's also other genres too, so this one isn't pure horror. And yeah, there's a lot of really awesome people involved in this, so.
Yeah. So congratulations to Amber.
Thank you. Oh, and it's coming out at the end of this month, so.
Yeah, so when that comes out, we'll make sure to put a link down below. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday, Junior, folks.
Happy Friday, Junior.
Thanks so much to Amber for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on clothes.
I'm going to do a little chant. I don't remember where I first heard this, but however we dress, wherever we go, no, yes means yes and no means no.
I think that works. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.